Hello, collective. This is your timeless reading. Very, very lackadaisical energy happening right now, to be honest. This is whenever you happen to be here is when you may feel that these messages may be for you type of style, like any other reading, all right? Please know that the energies that will be reading the energy will be 7th. However, they'll be coming from Bastet's energy, which means we are going to tap into more so a seeking of emotional redemption, for she is a ruler of darkness, for her being crystal conscious being. The ruler of darkness understands that there is trauma to be found, addictions to be understood, diseases to be cured, and demons to be disciplined, and she is the one to master them all. So it is not important for you to seek knowledge or inquisition of figuring out who she is, but more so understanding the appreciative resonancy to possibly finding a likeness to hearing out to these any of these messages. Time and place has no say-so in any of the readings, so past, present, or future energetical timelines could come forth in a reading of vibrancy for you. Please use your discernment to judge any feminine and masculine attributes that come up as your story and as your story alone, and utilize anything that isn't to be left behind. A lot of anxiety in this group here, all right? A lot of anxiety, a lot of wanting to be emotionally coddled, a lot of kicking and screaming of literally babies, and also adults here seeking redemption of emotional clarity, all right? Some of it is uncharacteristic, a lot of it is uncalled for, all right? The uncharacteristics are the immature ways that we have yet to discipline our behaviors, and just stepping out in public and being a public person and holding some sort of responsibility to our attitude, our makeshift, our overall sense of integrity when we're out in public eyes. And then the other one where we desire some form of disciplinary action to come from public, to be validated in the presence of anyone, wherever you go, or wherever you want to be serviced, or whatever you seem to be wanting to do when you step out of the comforts of your home. That politic, however, has been reduced down to the size of being shared to your dinner table, where now it's to the point where the politics of the streets are now absolutely fabricated to the makeshifts of who sits at the dining room table. It has a lot to do with the political influxions that have happened over the ether. Whether you are political or not, you are told you have to have a political mindset. You are not going to be accepted if you don't. You must choose a side. It is not fair that that conversation is contrary to it being 3 years ago seeming old. It is very new, and it actually ongoing developing of a nuanced of a thing happening, because what's happening in these homes or on these dinner tables, if there's a television nearby, you're being told to further and further segregate because you're emotionally either not coddling enough, not paying attention enough, or what you're saying needs to be polished before you're even allowed to think it. And before you even go to the realm of thinking that that is not a blasphemous act, you need to read certain books that have been banned over time and time again for being the crux of breaking through what humanity seizes to still yet to try to understand when it comes to exploring the mysticism of a world that we cannot see. And that is a dialogue much louder than the beings who are not shying away from having these conversations. Then it is much louder than we who can have these kind of conversations, than to other people who cannot have these kind of conversations, of course. However, the impact of, let's say, me not being afraid of something is knowing that if someone is going through a certain moment of time and I'm tapped into an energy that lets me know what is happening in that person, it will be the rule maker as to why I, in my moment of time and space, need to react or don't react. That has gone further and further away now to the social stigma that when you see chaos, you need to snap it, meaning you need to look through the lens of a phone of some kind and to be able to not only have validation of it, for it to have had occurred, for it to be a I have that footage too. It's a mockery. It's a really mockery to be in the dialogue of when you think you're gonna be narrow to like the pinnacle moment of maybe reaching your last breath, of really wondering who around you will make that ride of accepting that last breath a pleasant one or not. And to think that you can find it in the institutions right now is a mockery to the cause, for it is not there to be found either. Not all, so don't hold me against the fact that, oh, in this one, we're not fucking talking about those one person. We're talking about the inaptitude of it not being an overall thing everywhere, that it even has to be a conversation. That will make sense for those who will make sense. And for those of you who understand these energies to exist in a running dialogue of it just happening in the first place, out of nowhere, I appreciate you being here. All right, bear with me one moment. I have to check something on the stove. Anyway, so, oftentimes I find myself in energy vortexes where the conversation is a running monologue. And if I'm wrong around the wrong individual, the person will say, oh man, you're just so you're just so monotone to the idea of just running your own show and, never knowing when to stop, or it's always about you. I find it interesting because I think that the more I run into these energies of expression, and it having some sort of resonancy for individuals, or cards come up as the energies convolute and untopple over themselves, that it becomes a collective conversation, which means if it becomes a collective conversation, I'm not going in this situation talking about myself. It's impossible. However, if there's something that ties us all together, I think it's the idea, the fact that we are all human. So, collective, whomever you are, wherever the fuck you are, welcome to this goddamn reading. Alright, Bastet is an energy that matches the viciousness of her Sekhmet energy, meaning to coddle your emotions is not what we're here doing. We're here to spark some fire up in your asses and get something done about it, alright? Getting something done about it means that you can have a sassafras of an attitude and still be fucking loved for the beautiful person that you are, period, alright? I don't understand why the running monologue of certain cliches, like cliche fucking stigma of prejudicial, enigmas of shades of color of skin is accepted, or culturally it's accepted to speak a certain tongue, and then it's like, oh, you're my sister, oh, you're my brother, oh, you're my whatever. Check my skin tone, okay? I'm 10, whatever color it is that you fucking want me to be. So you understand the message, all right? I am a beating heartbeat. I am a breath of air. I am alchemy combined together in a vessel of an expression that makes me human. It is a collective problem that we share. Having a conversation does not make me ignorant. It makes me profitable to the fact that I'm knowledgeable, to the fact that there is a problem. Ladies and gentlemen, we all need to rise to the conversation and have a conversation about it, because we need to be triggered vocally, we need to be triggered auditorially, we need to be triggered sensorily, we need to be triggered with memories, PTSD galore, because the United Nations of the United States of Americas are convoluted with different sectors of shit, all right? And to only get to a collective ethering of like, well, let's make our shit look all shitty together, is if we fucking talk about it, all right? Culturally, there has been so many stigmas to be to be appreciative of when you're an outsider of that religion or of that culture, all right? Someone who hasn't been raised with any type of specific culture, specific religion, any type of niche in that regard, I have always had so much value in loving everything, because everything, first and foremost, is fucking new. And new is automatically luscious and curious and delicious to the sensory of experience. That is the quote-unquote childlike innocence that we have in conversation of the esoteric world, or the healing world, to go back to returning to your innocence of childlike behavior. How stupid is that? It is stupid to think that the vulnerability that is to be carried from the wisdom of the last breath, as we reach the everlasting stages to that last breath, is to diminish the idea that we should be more mature and lack vulnerability. Our innocence of vivaciousness of being a child is catered to the fact that being vulnerable is being curious, being not afraid to take risks, being not afraid of the consequence of the action, and not being afraid to just take up space. Now we've been indoctrinated to make it even smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and even louder, to the point that if you don't disrespect my need of that space, I'm going to almost call the cops because I want the 6 feet difference. That's the dialogue that we have gone to, that now we also suffer in the PTSD, as we're trying to make sense as to why we're auditorily, visually disrupted, with certain people still walking in the streets, or walking their dogs, or pedaling on their bikes, or fucking driving behind the wheel of the car and still having fucking masks on. What the fuck is going on? But because everyone is supposed to be triggered into behaving nicely, seeing the most abrasive things, you're still a bit incapable of doing, because oh my god, don't give that person a heart attack. Fuck out of here. If my energy of speech gives a person a heart attack, I mean, what? You are literally admitting that I have the power to bring damnation onto people. But if I don't do that, and I don't have a corpse of a background of people that I put to death because of they having heart attacks, but because of me, what the fuck are people talking about? I cannot give you negative energy. What you take of negative from me is your own illusions and delusions and rights for you being you. That is the small factor of how overall convoluted the mess of the siren of what it means to be a human, what it means to be validated, and what it means to be coddled, understood, as you make and break a sharing of an atmosphere that you do not need to speak the same language of to understand or not understand what the fuck it means to experience all this. All right, imagine that. Imagine that I can be in a room of people, not speak the same language, and we still understand what it means to share space. The collective of humanity has almost lost the idea of that, because they're too worried about the ego that it takes to show up there, to be in the presence, what you're gonna look like, smell like, breathe like, sound like, talk like, before you even there. What's gonna be said after you've gone, after you've attended, after you said everything and nothing, after you farted by accident, after you burped a little bit too much, or cracked your neck a little bit too loud. Like, the sheer fact that you're existing takes up space is being further and further diminished from the dialogue of being a running engine of a human vessel that farts, screeches, cracks, pops, fesses up, makes mistakes, bumps and bruises. You are an animal, and you can be smart, and to not take it into your own right to be in that passageway of chiming into your own intelligence would be rude to the cause of being alive. Think about that, fucking collective. Think about it. Some of you are making babies, creating, and it's also a bit fear involved with that, because you don't want to let go of a world, so you're creating your world. But you're not also realizing that you're perpetuating your fear into what's gonna be streamlined in the future, because you're emanating that same fear, you're just teaching it in different ways. And that's not fair to the future versions, or the mini versions of you, or the alter ego versions of you, little minions of you, or who you are when you are multifaceted and looking in the mirror. Being honest with yourself is a streamline and figuring out how to function with the fucking truths, because everyone knows we're all liars at the end of the day. You all lie. And the moment you step into any kind of temple, any kind of institution saying that you don't, you're a liar to the cause when you go out to the public streets. And the public streets will condemn you for that shit and will condemn you for that behavior. And that's the dialogue running into the veins of the bloods right now of the ether, speaking of the ancestors walking amongst you, collective. Your ancestors are spitting reason as to why you need to be triggered, that there is a lineage leaving before you and after you. There is a ringing in somebody's ear right now, making that ring true. And it isn't about Irish blood, Egyptian blood, Spanish blood, Chilean blood, indigenous blood, Lao, all right, Cherokee. It ain't about none of that. Keep the politics off the streets, in the streets, and out of your private homes. Let it pulsate in the power of who you are and the breath work of the pulse of your heart as you walk amongst people that are different and of the same. It starts in a way that you convolute the makings of your own fucking mind by what is given to you and what is mocked to you as in these all forms of distractions and convincing you that that's love. Love is in the air. Somebody's like, how? Yeah. Power is intense, all right? Understand that here, the sun here, that's red. That's passion. That's passion. Don't get fucking anger confused with passion. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't understand. I do not understand how some of y'all are so fucking sensitive that when someone raises their volume a little bit too much, oh my god, she's got anger issues. Why is she so loud? Oh my god. Yeah, save the drama for thy mama. And like I said, some of y'all making babies, the Empress card, the baby making card, all right? Now, this is also about literally making baby creations for yourself, letting those seedlings work, letting those minions pollinate for themselves, and allowing those dandelions to sway in the wind and taking you off like Beauty and the Beast, all right? It is also a love story. Don't let this shit fucking be fooled that all love stories have a fucking polishing a gem of a crystalline behavior. No, there are some vicious ups and downs in these types of relationships, ladies and gentlemen, and all those in between and beyond, all right? It is not all that glitters is gold, period. But everyone who knows through the workings of wanting to accept the concept of unconditional love definitely understands that, whoa, that shit is totally conditional. It is conditioned on the way of how you show up and what you want to bring out for it and what you want to do more and what you are willing to sacrifice. It's all about you. And you can't blame no one but yourself. No one. The further you go into ancestral walkings, the higher you go vibrationally, ladies and gentlemen, all those in between you beyond, you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. It becomes your problem. And your problem is your problem. And when it's somebody else's problem, and oh my god, hip-de-do that. It's still fucking your problem. No matter how many conversations it took to get there, eventually it will end up still being your fucking problem. Either because you're in the presence of it, you're in the earshot of it, I don't know. Cousin. I don't fucking know. But the fact that you're also here makes it your fucking problem. Why are there so many beautiful colors? She speaks so strongly, huh? Because the ruler of darkness doesn't give a shit about joy. It gives a shit about taming the anger. Because the anger is what's going to get shit done. And the fact of making sure that the things that one finds joyous keep getting produced. Because it's really easy to tap out of joy. More so than it is to tap out of misery. Because there's just so much fucking flying around in it. Everywhere we go. Temperance being like an adolescent, like having a teenage attitude. Anyway, the world. We are our own beginning, we are our own future, we are our own present. We have the capacity of being in our own presence and giving ourselves the presence of being present. All right. Surrender. I can release my need to control. Love. I commit to the practice of seeing the good in all things. I needed to interject that for a second because she was just intense. Love. I commit to the practice of seeing the good in all things. Surrender. I can release my need to control. Justice. Wanting to seek redemptions in a state of institutionalized sectors. Still seeing yourself finding the pole of wanting to go to, I know this is not the Hierophant card, ladies and gentlemen, for that religious factor, but you're seeking justice. You're trying to go to a place that will give you redemption. Instead of understanding comes from within. You're your own redemption. Yep. Comes from within. Queen of Cups energy. It comes from cycling through your own emotions. Action orientated. Anger, frustration, passion, the doer, masculine energy, your own god or goddess showing up to the occasion to discipline the empathy or the compassion that you feel you either have, don't have, misuse, underactive, overactive. Daddy brings it home. Are you your own daddy? Title of the reading. Are you your own daddy? The Hermit energy. I mean, I was just gonna fucking scream Virgo. So fucking loud is ridiculous. But, you know, I feel like how pretentious of me to say Virgo energy. But boom, shakalaka, Virgo energy is here. Give me 1 second. Man, it's crazy. So, Virgo energy. Virgo energy collective. Okay. Collective, we are operating at this time in galactic light. Whether you like the verbiage of that, whether you like the sound of that, whether you fucking disagree with me or not, I really don't give a shit. There are only certain words that I can bring to certain situations at this point with this massive amounts of energies that coalesce around us here, that to get very clear in the message and the degree of importance of the integrity behind the message is very hard to, and very easy to get lost. It's very easy to get lost in words. It's even harder to bring truth to the validation of them, of how important it is, okay? For that, you got to do the dirty work and deal with the emotions that you get triggered by feeling and resonating to any of these messages. That's why it's in best interest to take all of that which resonates with you as you leave the reading behind. And for shits and giggles, you do not have a lot of sensory synopsis given by me besides these cards, besides my voice, besides the vindication of passion and anything you're receiving from beginning to end of my readings, to understand the potentiality of importance of the degrees of energies. It is galactic, ladies and gentlemen. It is not about coast to coast. It is not about heaven and hell. It is not about alien, real or not. It is not about conspiracy, fact, or theory. It is not about left wing, right wing, politicized or not. It is not about Armageddon. It is not about religion or biblical. It is not about any of those dialogues. Those dialogues are sheer distraction to what it is that you are, because when it comes to galactic, you're too busy trying to convince yourself that you're existing. So try to make sense of that in one way or another before you try to show up to playing justice in ways that ether has no business and asking you to play a role of justice in the eyes of ether, because in privatizations, you still do not have your shit together. Rant almost over. It's funny to kind of imagine the people that kind of privately know me listen to these messages, but realizing I don't have my face, but then they kind of know my face. It's interesting. Choices teaches the ego. Renew your light. I always wanted to imagine myself being human, meaning like I wanted the human experience. I don't want easy. The universe has multiverse. And, you know, as simplified as reading cards is at the end of the day, it's very interesting how multifaceted people are completely in awe, scared, and like still afraid to put up money for it. Like, it's very interesting philosophy here that people dance with and think it's taboo when it's like your ego just playing the shit out of you. Like, it's your ego playing the shit out of you and you're calling it fear, and the people on the other side are like, damn, it sucks to see you that miserable. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, all those in between and beyond, I appreciate you being here at this time to handle these messages. For making it through, I applaud you. If you'd like to take my energies further in reaching out for some tarot services or a remote healing session, I am a master healer. The information can be found below, as well as to 𝗪𝗪's energy for more content over there. And either way, I'm wishing you a wonderful morning, noon, or night, wherever you are in the ether of this time and space. Take care.